Remember before in other workshops, we talked about needs versus wants. And like you said, I only spend based on what I need. So I'm not really going out and just buying a bunch of stuff that I want or have no use for. So I'm not spending just to spend. I'm more of a saver. There is a rule of thumb that says we should look at our needs versus our wants in this ratio, 50, 30, 20. So that we should buy the things that we need. That should make up 50% of our income. 50% of what we're buying should be needs, our essentials. That could be food, rent, paying credit card debt, student loan debts. Those are sort of essentials, right? And I think we can definitely agree that a lot of our income, maybe even more than 50%, goes to buying those essential needs, right? So that's the 50 part. The next number was 30. And that 30% of our income, no more than 30%, should be used to buy non-essential things. So yes, we have to live life and we have to enjoy life and we have to take care of ourselves and treat ourselves. And maybe you need that manicure once in a great while. Maybe you need to get your hair done. Like that sort of stuff, considered as non-essentials, we should not be spending more than 30% of our take-home income on just wants. So that's 50, that's 30, that makes 80. So the remaining 20% of our income should be savings. Arlene, do you think you save more than 20%?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Good girl. That's sweet.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Now, yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I learned a lot. The classes I was, you remember the first time we met?
Right.
I learned a lot. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. So if you're already saving more than 20%, you're on target, right? You have that right balance between how you're using every single dollar. And that's what we had talked about originally, is using a budget to track where every single dollar is going. So in these three buckets, we should be able to see what dollars are being used towards my essentials, what dollars are being used towards my non-essentials, and what dollars are being used towards my savings, right? We should never have to be budgeting in such a way that we're like, well, I'll see what's left at the end of the month and then I'll try to save that, right? Because we then know that we're not tracking every dollar, right? And typically what happens is if there is anything left over, we spend it anyways. So there's not going to be anything left to save. So it's good that you're looking to do the 20% bucket or more in savings first. You're also taking care of your essentials and then keeping your non-essentials very low, right? Something that can help you track this and do this better, something that we're not very good at, is tracking our bills and receipts. So we're sort of straddling, we have one leg in the old school world where we still have paper receipts, and we have another leg in like new technology where everything could be paperless, right? So it creates like difficulty for us because we're definitely not keeping file folders and organizing our receipts and keeping every receipt from the gas station and from Trader Joe's and whatever, right? They're sort of in the bottom of the bag. And, you know, we find them, you know, in the side pocket in our car because we just threw them in there. Like that's our filing system, right? And luckily, through our bank statements, we can sort of track our spending. That's good. That sort of falls apart, though, if you're spending on, say, multiple debit cards or multiple accounts, and then they're in all sort of different places. We have to consolidate them, streamline them, and bring them together. Right? But it is helpful, if you haven't done that, to try it just for a month. Is actually go through, like you were talking about, Arlene, your bank statement and look and just see, where did I spend money this month? Or maybe you log in every single day and you say, okay, good for me. Yesterday, I only spent X amount of dollars at 3 different places. By looking on a daily basis, right, that can help us do a couple of interesting things. One of them is to have a no spend day. I don't know if you've done that as a challenge to yourself. Like, we're just competitive as human beings, and we can be competitive with ourselves. Try to have a no spend day. Maybe it's once a month. Maybe you determine when that day is. Maybe you just one day just decide, okay, I'm just going to go for it. Today's a no spend day. Some days are easier than others to not spend money, right? It may be hard not to spend money on a Saturday, because maybe that's like when you do your grocery shopping, or you're going to go out or have entertainment, or you're going to relax or whatever. So help yourself by deciding, okay, what day could be a no spend day where I have everything I need. I have all my essentials. I don't need to purchase non-essentials. It's just a no spend day. I have some people who have taken the 1 day a month and tried it 1 day a week. And they've built on that. And it's sort of a game with themselves to see how much they can't spend in an entire month.
Wow.
That's more difficult.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
It really is.
Yeah, but even if maybe you can't get to no spending in a day, but maybe you reduce the number of transactions in a day, right? Look at your bank statement and say, man, I average like 10 swipes a day. Maybe you can get it down to 2. Maybe you can get it down to 3. So try to observe a no spend day. On the other side of that, I do want to also mention that as we budget, we always say we have to be kind to ourselves. So when it comes to money and our budgeting, we're not going to be perfect. We're not going to follow that budget perfectly. Maybe we're going to mess up that no spend day. Something happens, like we just have to do something. We have to spend the money. Even though you're saving a majority of your money, Arlene, don't forget to factor in FUN. So you got to have fun, right? So, but maybe that fun though is for your son. It doesn't necessarily have to be for you. Sometimes when people become so sort of tight with their money, or they get so competitive with themselves about their money, then they sort of become a Scrooge with their money. And then it starts creating stress and anxiety, right? The resources that you're saving are there for you to use and to live life for the things that you need, and also to enjoy life too. So I think we have to remember that most successful budgets are when you have room for fun stuff too, right? When you know that you have a little wiggle room, right? Do something fun with your son. I think you'll be more happy when you're spending on him, maybe than on yourself even.
Yes.
Right?
I'd rather
But
spend
I'm
on my
not saying
kids.
don't spend on yourself. Yeah, I mean, you got to spend on yourself too. So like we had the no spend day, this is going to be our planned cheat day.
Okay.
Okay. So in just like in having a diet, right? There's that cheat day or that one dessert that we've been holding out for, and you've sort of like earned it. It's okay to do that too with your budgeting, right? So when it comes to that cheat day, having fun, absolutely. But the thing though that we have to plan for when it comes to the budgeting is planned larger expenses. So the cheat day doesn't mean, oh shoot, I randomly showed up at Best Buy and now I find myself buying a flat screen TV for $1,500. That is not what I'm talking about with the cheat day. That is a planned longer term purchase that, I don't know, maybe within your budget, you start 3 months earlier and you say, in order to get to that 1,500, I have to save $5 a day. So it's planned. It's not a spur of the moment sort of, I'm going to just spend on non-essential. So it's okay to build that into your budget as well.
Okay.
The other thing that I want to say about remembering something really important about your budgeting is you have to begin the budget before the month begins. So a lot of people, because they have bills due at the first of the month, will budget after that first week. You're like, oh, okay, I got all my bills paid. I got all that situated. Now I'm going to sit down and now I'm going to just sort of sort things out. I'm going to look at my bank statement. I'm going to see how much funds I have and so on. Well, the budgeting should have began the week prior to the first, right? Because then you can assess what is coming in. Let's say you get paid on the first. What is going to be coming in? What are my bills due, right? So then I can start seeing what is the month going to look like after I have to pay out on all these bills after the first, right? And so one thing that we can do, like you were talking about, Arlene, when you log into your bank account, is go back to 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and see what was the trend, what was happening right before the first. Man, I was like, at the end of the month, I just didn't have very much. And I was just praying I was going to make it those 3 days before the first. Then I got paid, but then all the bills came out. And then I was right back in that same situation by like the 4th or the 5th of the month. And now that's a long haul to get to the 15th, right? So go back and see why that was happening. Was it because, and this is sometimes what I see people doing, is that they're not budgeting to zero. So what do I mean by that? Again, budgeting to zero means that you're tracking every dollar, you're giving it a place in the budget so that you don't have a single dollar to spare by the end of the month. So that doesn't mean that you end up with $0 and you have nothing in your accounts. It means that throughout the month, you've used those dollars to take care of bills, to buy the non-essentials, to have the fun, to have the cheat day. And remember, paying ourselves first to save. We've done our savings. So it's not like we don't have anything, right? But if we're going to bring in, I don't know, $2,000 a month, right? We should have budgeted our expenses, our savings. I don't know, maybe you're going to contribute to that CalAble account for your son. That's a part of it. Like we're going to budget down to zero. Budget to zero and start the process all over again. But I have something in my savings. Versus saying, I hope I make it to the end of the month, right? And I hope there's dollars left to pay any other outstanding bills. And I hope I don't have to skip my credit card payment.
My internet connection is like, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's acting up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and so just to make sure I didn't miss anything, did anybody have any questions on anything? Did they want to make any comments about maybe what they're doing?
This is kind of something, I don't know, it's on topic, but for me, what seemed to help is when I went back into my accounts and kind of gave all the separate accounts names. So it kept my brain kind of organized. I was able to, you know, if I knew I was saving for a laptop or for school essentials or whatever it may have been, I went in and kind of separated those categories, kind of like the old envelope method, but only within my bank account.
No, that is like totally on point, on topic. That's exactly what I'm talking about, where if you have to force yourself like to organize in such a way to say, look, I am going to get that flat screen in 3 months from Best Buy. I'm going to make a separate account for it. And it could literally be a new account if you wanted to.
Right.
It could be a cash envelope like you're talking about. It could be some other way that you are separating those monies, right? So that you're saving that $5 a day, it's going to add up in 3 months to the $1,500. Now I'm going to buy that thing with cash. I know it's paid for. I'm not putting it on a credit card in the moment because it's a splurge or a whatever. Doing it like that sort of keeps you organized and keeps you from yourself.
Yes.
And from your own sort of behaviors and psychology. Yeah, exactly. Right. So if you have a bucket for fixed expenses, like we talked about in the cash flow system, where all of our fixed expenses are covered, that's that bucket. Nothing else comes out of there. Right. So you can't take like contingency money, the what if money, like, you know, from that to ruin any other bills. It has to come from somewhere else.
Right.
So establishing those other sort of buckets in other places is, yeah, super helpful.
Something else that I did was like when I finally do, if I save up, we're doing a day trip, or like this past weekend we had gone away, I create a spreadsheet or a budgeting just for the trip itself.
Oh.
So I know, you know, what I'm going to be spending on my gas. Like I know, but I'm pleasantly surprised when I highball it and then it comes in lower, and then I have that little bit extra once the trip is done that I can stow away because I wasn't counting on it. So it's kind of like almost playing like a mind game with myself.
Yeah. And I think we need to sort of trick ourselves in that way. And it like makes us feel better about taking that trip when we have a certain budget. We know we got to highball it because, you know, the traveling is expensive. The food's going to be expensive. So let's like overestimate on that and like make it a competition with ourselves to come in under that, so that at the end of it, I can say we win on this and I still put money back somewhere else.
Yeah, it's always about the brain game. It makes it, you know, the challenge. It makes it, you know, worth it almost.
Yeah, it really is. You know, versus going on that trip and just having a number in mind and then spending, and I hope I come in under.
Right. The fingers crossed thing doesn't work so well anymore, you know, when you've had fingers crossed you don't spend over.
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely where the spreadsheet comes in handy, because now it's not just an overall like big picture tool. It can be a tool for even specific events like that.
Right.
So you could do a spreadsheet for a trip. You could do a spreadsheet for the TV. You could do the spreadsheet for, I don't know, your son's summer camp or whatever, however you want to set that up. You can sort of track the dollars that way, which is good. I guess the last thing that I want to just put out there as a reminder about budgeting too is to prioritize debt, because we talked about credit and debt last time. And we've talked about it actually in the last couple of sessions, just touching on it in different ways. Something that a lot of people do, especially when they're trying to tighten their belt when it comes to budgeting, is they don't prioritize paying off any debt. So what they will prioritize is, maybe I do need a vacation. Maybe I do need a different car. Maybe I do need some of these other like non-essentials. And so I'm willing to put on the back burner my debt payments to do those other things. So we have to really sort of take a long, hard look at, is that really gonna get me ahead? Is that really gonna be a smarter money decision to make, where by pausing on paying my debts, I'm allowing interest to build, I'm falling behind on that. Okay, I'm taking a vacation, and yeah, we need that, but when I come back, where am I gonna be in the bigger picture? I'm gonna have had that vacation, and that's great, but now I'm behind. And maybe I've got late fees, and now the interest is accruing and compounding, and maybe that's not what I really want. So it's about putting those ideas on the back burner instead of the debt, prioritizing that, and maybe, making it a goal to pay off existing debt. It's going to save you on interest, it's going to save you on financial stress. But typically when it comes to the budgeting, that's like the first thing that we're willing to just like do away with, to free up more money. We never know when that can sort of come back and bite us, when we're looking at, like we talked about before, our credit score, credit history, because we made decisions a year ago. There was 3-4 months where we didn't pay on something, and now it's coming back to bite us. So it could have damaged our credit score. Now all of a sudden I need to be a borrower again, and now they're seeing sort of my bad habits from the past. Now it's affecting me again. Arlene, I guess my last question would be, do you have all the right tools that you need to do budgeting and to track your money?
Can you repeat again, please?
Sure. Do you have all the right tools? Do you have a paper and pencil budget that you use, or are you doing it on your phone, on your bank app? Do you have the right tools to make sure that you're budgeting?
No, just now, because the pandemic, I can't go out to buy, whatever I don't need it. It helped me a lot.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it helps in that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
If there's one good thing out of this situation, it's definitely kept us from just going out and spending randomly, right? I think like we've talked about before in previous sessions too, about really realizing like there's a lot that we don't need.
Excess. There's a lot of excess.
Yeah, a lot of excess, and that there are only certain things that we absolutely need to survive, and we have it for the most part. It's when we don't see it on the shelves in the grocery stores, though, that we start to panic a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you, Arlene, that it is helpful, and maybe even as we come out of this in the future, we'll just keep the same habits. That would be amazing, right? Where it's like, I really didn't miss eating out. Big deal. Maybe I don't need to do that.
I like what I see when the pandemic started. I was, I didn't go out to buy, nothing I needed. And when I see my saving, oh my goodness, I like it. I will try to do same. That helped me a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And all it was really doing was helping us make different decisions, right? So it sort of forced us to change our habits, forced us to make different kinds of decisions. And like you're saying, now I see the result of that. My savings was growing. I ended up saving more than I was actually spending. I actually kind of like that. Maybe I should like keep doing that. Maybe I should stick with it. And yeah, that's sort of why I wanted to talk about this now, is that as this sort of drags on, we sort of have to remember like what we're doing, why we're doing it, and that we can still like keep our budgeting on track. And that now that we've developed these habits, like we don't have to rely on a pandemic to make us do that. So that's what I had for today. That's what I wanted to address and talk about. Next Thursday evening, I think what I'll do slightly is I was going to talk about different ways to save, but I think what I'm going to do, because you're doing that, Arlene, you are saving, I'm going to talk about ways to sort of maximize the savings. Now that you've got like, that puddle is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now how to like maximize that, and what are good things to do with it to help you to continue to progress. Okay, you guys have a great evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you so much. See you
Bye.
next time.